Hi everyone, welcome to Cheltenham Chart, episode 7, on a very informative week of racing with Cheltenham 2022 in mind. I'm going to give you my view on the races, and it is purely my view. I'd love to know your view in the comments. Now, I'm not going to talk about the comments this week because there's just so many horses and races to go through that the episode would be crazily long if I did that. I'm getting straight into it. The first three horses I'm going to talk about are all Albert Bartlett types. And the first one ran on Friday. It was Lossymouth winning at Sandown. And I was hugely impressed with this horse. Just a tank of a horse. And won really, really nicely. Now, it wasn't much of a race, but he's improving so much this season that the sky could be the limit with this horse. And he's one not to dismiss out of hand. I thought this was a really good performance from him. And I just want to mention him before I go on to the weekend's racing. Now at Navan, two horses who ran against each other in a bumper when What Do You Want beat Ginto ran in separate races. What Do You Want won the novice hurdle, Ginto won the grade 2. What Do You Want had beaten Ginto in the bumper. That was over 2 miles, and obviously Ginto's a stayer, so they're both going to look like Albert Bartlett types. What Do You Want looked beaten and came back, finished well and just got up. Ginto bolted in, beating Eric Bladax, who'd been highly touted. Both performances were very good. The clock said they were about the same time. What Do You Want carried more, but he was all out and Ginto won easily. I thought both performances were very good, and I think both are Albert Bartlett types. I keep seeming to find Albert Bartlett types. That's 3 I've mentioned, plus Hollow Games, so it seems like there are a lot of horses who could be going down this route, although it is a possibility that Hollow Games could go for the Ballymore. Riviere de Tel won really easily. Again, her allowances will start to drop soon, and that may take her closer to the park. It was a decent Arkle trial for her. She was very good in the jumping department, and she's one not to take too lightly in my view. The Henry VIII fell apart a bit. I thought Third Time Lucky had strange tactics in this race to go out in front. I'm not really sure that was showing the horse to best effect, and he just set the race up for Edward Stone. As good a winner as Edward Stone was, he's not for me in the Arkle. That's just my opinion, but I wasn't really wanting to be with the horse. Similarly, the Tingle Creek fell apart with Chacun Pour Soi just putting in an awful performance, and it was left to Grenadine to pick up the pieces and win the Tingle Creek. But for me, he's not a champion chase winner, and as much as it's a likeable performance, it's one of those where Paul Nicholls picks up a big pot by campaigning his horses aggressively, and he's won a Tingle Creek and a Grade 1 with a horse who's possibly on the lower echelons of a Grade 1 horse. I can't see Grenadine winning a champion chase, and this was disappointing from Nubie Negra. But the main disappointment was, of course, Chacun Pour Soi. Another major defeat for Willie Mullins was Ellie May, who ran a deplorable race, and now the mare's chase is seriously up for grabs, with Colreevy already not going to be running in this race, and Ellie May being thrashed here. It's up for grabs, and there are plenty that could throw their hat in the ring. Mount Ida, Put the Kettle On, being put up in distance is a possibility as well. There are a few to put in the mix, but if you can find one in there that's going to run, you're certainly going to be in with a good chance. Obviously, we have to talk about Concertista later. Protectorate won the Many Clouds. Now, as much as it was a good performance, do I see Protectorate as a Gold Cup winner? Sadly, I don't. And that's all I can say on the race. It was a good win. He won really authoritatively, but for me, he's not a Gold Cup winner. The best performance for me on Saturday was undoubtedly a performance from a novice, which I think was probably the best novice performance I've seen this season, and that was from Constitution Hill of Nicky Henderson's, who thrashed Might I, and I just thought this was a brilliant performance. I actually thought this was a better performance than John Bon, and I was really, really impressed by Constitution Hill. I think this horse could be something very serious. Now, he's only 5-1 for the Supreme. We've still got to see Sir Gerhard. We've got to see Three Stripe Life out of Novice Company. I just wonder if there's something to come out of the woodwork. But for me, I would have Constitution Hill before John Bon. I was really impressed with him. And he was probably the star of the show for me on Saturday. So now I'll get on to Sunday's runners and my view of those. But if any of you have views of the Saturday horses, then feel free to put them in the comments. I don't think we'll have so many runners to go through next week, and we can have a comment section again. But it's nice to talk about. I did chat about Nicky and his luck wanting to go for big races with Christine Parker in the comments last week. But it is nice to see Nicky with some good horses this season, and John Bon and Constitution Hill have now taken the first 2 places in the betting for the Supreme, which only 2 weeks ago were both filled by Willie Mullins. So perhaps Nicky has the novices to be in a good shape this season. I was really impressed with Constitution Hill, and now I'll get on to Sunday's runners. Saturday, without any question, had been the Gordon Elliott show with a magnificent 7 winners out of 8 races at Navan. And it was all set fair for Sunday to be the Willie Mullins show at Punchestown in Cork. But somebody forgot to tell Kilcrat. Largy debut, beat him emphatically, and it's really difficult to make any excuses for Kilcrat's defeat. He was soundly beaten. He didn't jump well, but he wasn't really unlucky. It's hard to find excuses. Largy debut clocked the same time as Dysart Dynamo, who was impressive. So it could be that Largy debut is a good horse. Kilcrat was beaten. Is this the real Kilcrat? Is he only as good as Dysart Dynamo? Probably not as good as Dysart Dynamo, to be honest, if he's been beaten like this. Was this the real Kilcrat? We have to wait and see, but this was deeply disappointing from him. Dysart Dynamo did start a good day for Willie Mullins, though, and he was very impressive. Both horses, like I say, clocked the same time, and both could be very good. But for me, if I was backing a Supreme horse at the moment, it would be Constitution Hill. Even out of Largy debut, Dysart Dynamo, John Bon and Constitution Hill, I'd take Constitution Hill. Concertista was a horse that I really liked last season, and I think everybody knows that. But I was of the opinion that even though I thought she would win the Mayor's Hurdle because it wasn't that great a race, that I always thought she could maybe go back for the Champion Hurdle. She's going to need more stamina to win a Mayor's Chase. She's already favourite. And although she jumped well, I'm not convinced she'll stay. Now, it's a weak division, and last season it was very weak, but both Ellie Mae's fluffed their lines. Colreevy's not going to run. And if Put the Kettle On does go for a higher target, like a Ryanair or a Champion Chase, then this is going to be one weak race, the Mayor's Chase. And Concertista, even as a novice, could win it. But she's short enough with the stamina doubts in my mind that I'd probably, even though they're talking about Mount Ida as a Grand National horse, I'd see Mount Ida as a strong stay over 2.5 miles if she ran. So, yeah, for me, Concertista's too short. I couldn't be backing her for a Mayor's Chase unless it's a weak race, because I'm not convinced she'll stay. Energumene is definitely the big close-sat hope for the Champion Chase, I would imagine now. After Shaka and Persois' defeat, Energumene came out, beat Notebook very easily, and Notebook put it up to Energumene, tried to jump with him, tried to go with him, and paid the price for it. Energumene's absolutely bolted up, even though Notebook's tried every tactic to try and get him beat. He's not even got Energumene off the bridle. And I would say, with the severe possibility that Shiskin ain't going to run until the new year, I mean, that's not for definite, but it's likely, then I would have Energumene far closer in the betting to Shiskin than he is now. And I'd possibly favour Energumene at the moment. Party Central. I've got a wee fetish for Noel Moran's horses, I think, but Party Central was I thought impressive. Now, scrambling home in the end didn't look impressive, but it was the way she came into the race. And I think over a slightly shorter trip, she could be one for the Mayor's Novice. I haven't checked the prices, and I wouldn't be bucking in the Mayor's Novice anyway, this early in the season. But I was just slightly taken with this performance. I liked her. I liked the way she came into the race. And even, like I said, she scrambled home, but I thought this was a decent performance. And over slightly shorter, I could see her being a big player in the Mayor's Novice. Now, the John Darkin, I think, has exposed big doubts about Envoy Allen's true ability here, because he's been seriously found out this time, and there are no excuses this time. He fell in the marsh, and then he sustained an injury in Ireland, but this time there are no excuses. He was soundly beaten in a decent but not great field. Take out Allaho, he's been well beaten by Jonadil as well, and this was disappointing. Now, Allaho has run a searching, scathing gallop in this race and run everything into the ground, apart from really a Stadium for Longe, who looked like, to me, looked like he could have won. But, of course, he's got a mind of his own, and he's gone and unshipped his rider just when he looked like he was going to win. But I thought he was going the better. Now, Allaho stayed on and won. This was a serious gallop to be going first time out. And I think later in the season, Allaho could perhaps pay for this performance, because this was a good field. It was a serious gallop, and first time out, to do this, I wonder if it'll leave a mark on Allaho, and I certainly wouldn't be taking a short price on him for the Ryanair, because as good as he was last season in the Ryanair, to do this first time out on this sort of gallop could leave a mark for me. And the final horse to talk about is my contentious view. I've already put it up on Twitter, and I don't know, it's just my own view. I was always told that Fernie Hollow's point to point, he didn't jump brilliantly. He was good at some fences and very, very ordinary at around half of them. And I was sort of thinking I was prepared to take this horse on for the Arkle. Now, your ability can get you through on occasions, especially if you're against inferior rivals. And if it's a poor Arkle like the one Duke de Ginevra won, then Fernie Hollow won't need to jump that well to win, because he's got such an engine. But I think if he runs against an opponent like Appreciate It, I don't think he will win, because he made a few sizable errors in this race, and he didn't have to jump the fences down the back. And for me, I think Cour Sublime would have beaten him with a better jump at the last as well. Now, Cour Sublime is a horse that doesn't find a lot and off the bridle, and I think maybe because he was going so well, they've taken it up a bit early on this horse, and he's basically put a target on his back, especially when he didn't jump the last well. But I think Fernie Hollow was a little bit lucky to win today, and I'm not convinced about his jumping. So I'm putting my head above the parapet, and I'm going to imagine the mudslinging's going to start. But I wasn't that impressed with Fernie Hollow, and I see all the tweets that Fernie Hollow was brilliant, etc., etc. Now, this must be people that have backed him, because I did not think he was that impressive, and I seriously thought he would have been beaten if Cour Sublime had jumped the last well. So that's a contentious view, but it's my view. People will say, when is the next bet coming? Well, looking at the value in the markets, it's really, really difficult to say. Trying to make a profit at this year's Cheltenham Festival anti-post is going to be difficult for me, and it's going to be difficult for everybody who's putting these videos up, because the prices are simply not there. I said last week about the Phil Dorr price against the price that Zanahiyr was after he won the same race. More impressively, was half the price Zanahiyr was. And it's typically like that in nearly every race. Concertista is a novice chaser, and she's favourite for the Mayor's Chase because they can do it. They can cap the price, and there's a lack of opposition. But if I can draw your attention to one thing, I was listening to a podcast, the Weighed In podcast, and they were talking about the disappointing display of Epatante. And all the guests said that they were disappointed with Epatante. And then they go to Barry Orr from Betfair for Barry to say that they cut the horse from 14 to 1 to 10 to 1 after the performance. So Epatante has disappointed all three guests, and the bookies rep is on there to tell us that he's cut the horse by 25% in price for a disappointing display. And that is what you are up against trying to get value now. There is very little value, and trying to make a profit is not going to be easy this season. Now, that's not me trying to make excuses. It is the bare fact that the prices are simply not there. And it's like John Bond 7 to 2, Constitution Hill 5 to 1. And okay, they look okay now, but what price would a Kilcrap been if he'd won? He would have been 5 to 2, and then you'd have had a 5 to 2, a 7 to 2, and a 5 to 1, with Sir Gerhard still to run, etc., etc. And I just feel that the markets are crazy at the moment, and it's going to be very difficult. But I am looking for horses to back. I realise now that I should have backed American Mike, because I talked about him so much in the first two episodes. Well, episodes 2 and 3. And he was still 8 to 1. But I didn't want to get involved in the bumper after last season's debacle with Kilcrap getting beaten after we were on him at 14 to 1. And I just felt 8 to 1 was possibly a bit short, where really it's been proved it wasn't. So, yes, it's difficult to find value. And when you're hanging back because you've had your fingers burnt last season, it's even more difficult. But it's been a great week of racing. I hope you'll make comments. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. I hope to find more bets. I looked downstairs to look at the 5 betting slips I have had for Cheltenham. Now, one of them was on Tell Me Something Girl, which is the bet I've put up. 2 of them were on American Mike, who is a horse I've talked about a lot. One of them was on Ginto, who you know I've been talking about, but I haven't put him up as a bet because he's been slightly disappointing on the track. And the other one was just a wild outsider bet on Galvin for the Gold Cup, which is unlikely to collect and would never be put up as a bet on the videos. So let me know how your anti-post book's looking. Thanks for all the comments. Hopefully we can do a comment section next week with less runners probably out on either side of the sea. Thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying the series. Have a great week. Bye for now.